Hey guys, how you doing? This is GuanYu007, and everybody has probably been asking me questions on my previous Cemu videos about Maple Seed and about how do you get certain things from Maple Seed itself. So, as promised, I'm going to focus this video for both Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Monster Hunter Ultimate 3. But I'm going to be focusing on them both on the Wii U USB Helper. So I'm going to more likely make two different videos, and I'm going to be doing this from a fresh start. That means I'll be downloading everything fresh. There will be no carryover from either Cemu, and then we'll go ahead and take a look and see how things are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the websites and we will take a look and see what do you need for either game that I'm going to be using. So the first thing you're going to need is to go to Cemu, and all of these links will be down in the description below. You're going to go and need to hit the download button. It says download latest version of the Cemu emulator. After that, you will go to download download the latest graphics packs. Now, a lot of this has changed drastically, and this is awesome. I love the fact that they've done this. So all you need to do is check and see if you do have a graphics pack that you can go ahead and pick up. Go to the top and click download latest, and that will download the latest graphics packs. Third thing you'll need to do is go and download the latest Cemu hook. It's usually in the current version section, and go ahead and download it. And they actually made a Cemu hook for 1.11.2. Fourth thing, you will need to download a shader cache. Now, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be downloading purely the European version. That means the hacked version I have that's using the American shader cache with the European version. I'm going to just download the pure European version, so to cut out a lot of the hassle that has happened beforehand. I know that some people have had issues, some people have not. Don't worry about it. It should sort itself out. Now, if for some reason this download doesn't work, there is also the zip extractor that goes into your Google Drive, and you can go ahead and use a zip extractor for that Google Drive or not, and then download the extracted zip to your desktop as well, or just hold it into your Google Drive and you can destroy that later. And the fifth and final thing we're going to need is Wii U USB Helper. Now, I've not really used Wii U USB Helper because it asks for I don't think it asks for a lot of information, but it will ask for certain information that you would need. And it's not that I don't like Wii U USB Helper. I agree that it makes everything fast and very efficient on PC itself. I just like grinding it out through Maple Seed. Yeah, I like doing it the hard way because I'm a fucking idiot. And you know what? We're gonna go with a fourth. Let's see. We're gonna go with a fourth option here. I'm sorry, excuse me. God, Midwest weather is horrible, and I am going to click on this because I can't necessarily show you this. I'm sorry that it might seem secretive, but I will let you know about it as soon as I click on it. I will also be injecting the title keys for Wii U USB. Now, what you would normally do is you just go to Google and ask for Wii U USB title keys and whatnot. So it's not really a big thing. However, because of YouTube's policies, I can't show you the site, but I might slip up and put them somewhere in the video. So there's that. Okay. So now that I have that already, I'm just going to go ahead and there we go. All right, so now that you have these 5 things which are primary to what you need, let's go ahead and start. So I already have everything in a Cemu Now folder because I've been fucking lacking in putting out content for quite some time. I'm just going to toss this folder up here. And the first thing we're going to do is sort these out. We're going to extract or take out the Cemu that you just downloaded. We're going to extract it here. Once we have the Cemu extracted, we are now going to fiddle with the Cemu just a little bit. But before we do that, let's take the Cemu hook we extracted, put it into the Cemu folder, and extract that here as well. Alright, after we're done with that, we're going to take this Cemu hook, put this to the side. Actually, I'm going to just put them into the Cemu Now folders. Alright, and then after that, we're going to right click on Cemu. We're going to go to Properties. And then in Properties, we're going to scroll to Compatibility, depending on which Windows you're on. And then we're going to click on these 3 last boxes, which is Override High DPI Scaling Behavior. Scaling behavior is performed by application. You definitely want to do that. We're going to disable full screen optimization. We're going to do that. And we're going to run this program as administrator. After we do that, we will click Apply. Then we'll click OK to get out of the application itself. Now what you have is a fully unmodified Cemu. So what we want to do is we want to jump into Cemu. And if you're seeing this for the first time, I'm going to continue to do this as a fresh install. So the first thing you want to do is download the shared fonts, which should be fine unless you have a really weird fucking antivirus that just says everything is a fucking virus. I myself have a VAST, and I have seen that problem. And in fact, if you have a VAST, make sure to always download Malwarebytes and to take out anything that's in the back end that VAST can't pick up. Malwarebytes seems to be the first actual antivirus malware software that does its job perfectly. But always make sure to at least have 2 types of software. A VAST I have for multiple reasons, and Malwarebytes I would just download, use, and then undownload it, reuse it when time to time when I feel something is fishy, or I go through my files and I see something that's not supposed to be there, such as fucking advertisements. But that's not what this video is about. So we're done and we're finished downloading the share fonts. So what you see right now is the Cemu plugins. And as you see the Cemu plugins, you also see the website to go and download the Cemu plugins, or sorry, the Cemu hook plugin at any point in time. So I'm going to go ahead and take time out right now and set up the Cemu to play both Zelda and Monster Hunter as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to run through our options. So console language, we're going to take to English. Console region, we're going to set that to auto. Experiment, we're going to take off the Breath of the Wild crash workaround. We don't need that because that will be in a graphics pack. We're going to uncheck use RDTCS because that makes playing Monster Hunter wonky. We don't want that at all. And we're going to leave the full sync at GX draw done. What that does is that syncs your GPU and CPU on the same level. Say if you're having weird AI glitches, and it has happened, I've seen them before. you would just click this on and your AI should be fixed. At some point it will tank your frame rate if you don't have your right NVIDIA settings, and I will get into that in a later date or a later video, possibly when I decide which one is more important to do. Now for your gamepad, if you have a motion control gamepad such as PS4 gamepad and you're using a program such as DS4 where you have a modded out version of it, you can go ahead and click on it and then click on by slot. Let's see. Yep, and I think that's it. Skip over input settings, that's going to be last. Audio settings, I will set mine to halfway. Separate gamepad view, that's for extra gamepads, of course. And once you have an extra gamepad, very useful in Monster Hunter if you need it. You can go ahead and minimize it. Place that somewhere up here. You can have your actual screen towards the bottom. It's very useful. I like it. I've never had a problem with it. But for Breath of the Wild, you won't need that, so you can go ahead and click that off. Let's see. GPU buffer accuracy. Set this to lowest for fast for Breath of the Wild. If you have a pretty okay PC, beefy PC or whatnot, you can set it to medium for Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter really doesn't take up that much space or doesn't run your hardware hard. That's the weirdest fuck saying it. Full screen, go to keep ratio aspect. Upscaling filter, go ahead and hit bilinear. And you can tick off always downscale with bilinear. You don't need to have it. Some people do, some people don't. Matter of fact, I'm just going to keep it on there. How about that? Graphics packs, we haven't installed any yet. This option right here, GX2 set GPU fit skip pack, very useful in Breath of the Wild, but if you're going to run the graphics packs FPS++, it should automatically kick this on. Enable VSync, that's an option you can choose. You don't have to. Full screen, an option you can choose, but you don't have to. Tools is for memory searching. If you're into hacking your games or into searching for the values of your games, such as a la cheat engine, this is very useful to you. If you do not, then you can skip this completely. CPU, logical cores. If you have full 4 cores, you should be fine. If you have 2 cores, you should be fine. If you ever run into a problem, you can always set your odd cores to the last logical odd per physical core or to even per physical core. And that will go for more so on the AMD side. In the NVIDIA side, sorry, the Intel side, you should be fine. NFC scan, now this is for amiibos. I do not use amiibos. I have an amiibo pack. I've never used it. I don't feel I ever will use it. Now we're into the debug dump and area. So for the RPL modules, you don't need to use that. You can click off of that, but that's what it looks like. For your timers, set it to 1 millisecond. View audio debugger, you don't have to do that, but if you wanted to, there's your AX voice viewer. You don't really have to, again, but there it is if you ever need it to be. I just want to make sure that my settings are properly done here. I don't want it to fuck up anything for my recorder. For your custom timer, you can use CubePC or Cemu default. Right now I'm going to use Cemu default, but for Monster Hunter I will switch it to CubePC. So for Breath of the Wild, which is going to be the longer video, I'm going to do here now. So we're going to use that version. Disable CPU extensions. You don't have to touch these. Don't worry about it. View PPC threads. You don't have to touch that. Don't worry about it. Render upside down. You know, that's for the hardcore if you ever want to, but I don't think you ever want to. Now for dump, you have your text and your shader dumps. You don't have to worry about that. Logging. this is for your different APIs and sockets, your saves, your basically all of your API that you're using in your emulator. Every emulator has this. The PPSSPP does. I never have to touch this. Don't worry about it. And of course, there's help, and it'll tell you about Cemu. All right, now that we're done with that, what we're going to do is we're going to set up our inputs. We're going to, since this is fresh, I have no input saved, obviously. And you have choices between the controllers that you have. So you have your keyboard, you have your X pin, X input, which is the Xbox controller, and you have your direct input, which is usually the wireless controller that is the PS4 or the DS4. What I find is you can use this if you're using a DS4 and just go straight input, go straight in, or you don't have to. So what we're going to do is we're going to go with Wii U gamepad. We're going to go with X input. We're going to go with, since I'm running DS4, strictly DS4 and hiding my controller in my settings, I'm going to go with the Xbox controller for Windows. I know it's a weird setting. It hasn't failed me. Everything usually works perfectly with that. And now let's go ahead and run the buttons and what you would need for this. So let's click on A and follow along. Should be fast. So A is circle, B is X or cross, X is triangle, Y is square, L is L1, R is R1, ZL is L2, ZR is R2, plus is options, minus is share, and now we're into the analog. So L click is L3, just clicking the button, and then you have L up, L down, L left, L right. And for the R button, do the same thing. So R click is R3, and then you have R up, R down, R left, R right. Then you have your D-pads, and then you just go D-pad up, down, left, right. Mic blow and show screen, don't worry about that. You can control those with your mouse by default. And now that we're done with that, what we will do now is we're going to call this a name. And let's call this, cap it out, DS4 Pro. And save your settings. Now at any point in time, at any point in time, if you're ever missing your settings, you can just hit this drop down button, go to DS4 Pro, and click on load. In fact, I can go ahead and show you it works on the next controller setting, which I can just go to the drop down menu, press it, and voila, loads up your controller settings. All right, now that we're done with that, we can exit out of this. We can go ahead and exit out of Cemu. Now we can go to the graphics packs. Now usually I will just take only the graphics packs I want, but a lot of people are playing different games on Cemu. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the graphics packs that we have, or we took from the website, from GitHub. We're going to extract all of the graphics packs here. We're going to click yes to all. And as it stands, these graphics packs work with the latest of all of the games on Cemu for the Wii U emulator itself. Now later on, I'll probably go ahead and destroy a lot of these packs. I don't want them all, but I'm just doing this for the video itself. All right, now that we're done with that, we can go ahead and tick this off. And for your shader cache, oops, almost forgot. Almost forgot about the shader cache. So what I'm going to do is I am going to open up Cemu once more. Go to your shader cache. Go to transferable. Actually, it has the info right here to tell you where you're going to put your shader cache. Go to transferable. Take your shader cache that you have and extract your shader cache in said area. Once that's done, just put it whatever you have into your folder and you should be fine. And now we're basically done with the bare bones setup of Cemu. So we're going to go ahead and click off Cemu. We no longer need it. Now we're going to go ahead and start on the USB emulator. Now what you need for this is you'll need 3 folders. So I'm going to go ahead and make 3 quick folders. So the first folder we're going to go with is, we're going to call this Wii U USB Helper. That's for the files that you'll put in for your Wii U USB Helper. Now we're going to go for a second folder, and we're going to call that games download DL. That's your second folder. And now you need a third folder. We're going to go with games extra or extract. All right, now that you have these 3 folders, very important, when your helper comes on, you're going to go in and put your helper into the Wii U USB Helper, of course, because that will be the main folder. When you start downloading your games, you'll download them into the download games file. And when they're extracted and completely broken down from their encryption, they will actually be in this folder. So in the reality, this is just a bypass folder to download as you extract, and you can get rid of the download folder after you're done. But we're just going to keep these folders right now because, again, fresh install purposes. So the first thing you would want to do for your fresh install purposes is we're going to click on the Wii USB update. We're going to run yes. And if you have a VAS like I do, which is always a fuck up, we're going to click yes. And it's going to browse for where's the directory of where you want to put these files at. Please select the directory in which application should be installed in. If the application is installed in blah blah blee bleebity 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 blah blee bleebity. All right. So I'm looking for that Wii U USB Helper folder. We're going to click yes. We're going to click run. We're going to click yes again. Because like I said, I love being overly safe for reasons. All right, as you see, it just made a shortcut. And now the first thing it's going to ask is, what region do I want to get my games from? If not all regions, if so, it doesn't really matter. So first thing you're going to look at is this agreement right here. You're going to click on I agree to it. Then we're going to make our choice. So Japanese games are great, but I'm going to stick with Europe. Oof, God, that was loud. Okay, and it's going to tell you about all of this stuff right here, which is fine and all. And we're going to go ahead and click OK. And it's going to ask you, please select a location to store your games. However, do not store them in program files because obviously you would need to you would need to have administrator permission, and that's fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to desktop. We're going to look for games download, which is right here. We're going to select a folder. And it doesn't say it yet, but in games download, it's supposed to go ahead and store some of your execution data, I guess you would call that. But right now we have the tickets in the tickets or update. Of course, you're going to say in order to work, this application needs to download tickets. Unfortunately, since this is a copyrighted material, you may need to provide them yourself. Use the title key sites such as such, recommended such as such. Okay, so basically, again, the title key site that I went to, which you can Google, you can go ahead and select which area you want to do. You can do 3DS only. You can do Wii U only. But I'm going to go ahead and go with Wii U. So I'm just going to paste and I'm just going to click on it. And as you see, it works. And everything is pretty much easy, smooth sailings, and long downloads from here on out, guys. So as you said, it says thank you, and just click on yes. First time using this is going to tell you about what happened with net neutrality, of course, because Edgit Pie is a fucking shit face, and he destroyed net neutrality, or he's trying to. It still has to go through the House and the Senate. I'm not going to hold my breath for it. I'm just going to keep it going. You can go ahead and sit down and read this a little bit later. I'm not. I'm just going to go ahead and minimize this. And we're going to full screen this application. And this is what Wii USB Helper looks like. I know it looks very simplistic. Don't worry about that. That's just fine. However, if you ever want to see a different filter, such as the US version of the games or a Japanese version of the games, you can always do that later or down the line by just going filter, ticking these boxes, or even Korea. I didn't know that Korea had a different version of their games. You learn something new in these videos, I swear you do. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to go to game search. We're going to type in Zelda. And as you see, we have a bunch of results for Zelda itself. And I'm going to go back into filter and I'm going to tick off Japan and US. I'm going to go back to the library and we can go ahead and minimize which one we have, which is Zelda Breath of the Wild. Again, I have this, but we're going to reinstall it for everybody else, which means this is going to be a long video and I hope you're ready for this. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click on Zelda itself and we're going to just send these into a queue. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go download games and it's going to say The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is going to be 10 such gigabytes, and it's the European version, and it has the updates. And do you want to download the updates? Would you like to download the updates in queue? The first thing you're going to say is no. And The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild has DLC, and what you're going to do is download in the queue. You're going to say no again. It's very important. Do not download the updates. Do not download any of these things with the game itself. Now that I'm done telling you not to download them, let's go ahead and download these updates and DLCs in a huge, humongous fucking queue because I love doing that. Now, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to go to download update. Alright, so now that we see there are different updates, the latest update is version 192, which is the latest version, which I think is 1.4.1, which is a hotfix. So what we're going to do is just click on one. You do not need to click on the rest of these updates, don't worry about them. You should be fine. Click on OK, and that'll send it into the queue that's right here. And the last thing we want to do is download the DLC, which will automatically be the latest DLC because it's following by your update. Alright, now that we're done with that, and again, that's another thing. I like actually knowing what my download update is. That's the reason why I use Mapleseed more. But let us stop bitching and let's go ahead and just get this done. So the first thing you want to do after you have these, make sure to check, see they're all the European versions, see they're all ready for download. And then we're going to want to, after we're done with this, set up our downloads, which we already have, but make sure to double check that anyway. Please select the location that you want to store your games for. Recommended the location is not going to be admin. So we already have that. So we can go ahead and cancel it. As you saw. The next thing we want to do is, and if you want to, make sure to try to donate money. If you don't want to donate money, you can always click on this to see what you can do to help this Wii U USB Helper if you ever want to. I'm going to click maybe later for the sake of this video. Because it's going to be long anyway. So we're going to set download extraction directory. That's what we haven't done yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to desktop, or just click on one. We're going to go ahead and go to our games extract, which is going to be the final product of our games. We're going to click on that, select folder, and once that's done, simply click download. Now this should pop up, which is the download manager, which I'm just going to pull off, and I'm going to make sure to click unpack. There we go. There's the download manager itself, and we have a ton of things to do right here. We can go shut down, sleep, hibernate, blah 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 blah. Make sure to click unpack. That will make sure it automatically unpacks. I know that might take a little more time, but it'll automatically unpack everything in your game's download to your game's extract. Now, if for some odd reason, and I'm going to unminimize this again, for some odd reason that does not work, you can always right click on your game that you have, and you can always say unpack load line, which will do the same exact thing. However, we don't need that. So this is going to take quite some time because we're downloading both the game and the DLC, and we're doing it because fresh installs matter. So at this point of the video, which I am going to leave running anyway to show that this is a legit video, this is a legit way of doing this, we're going to just go ahead and continue watching this. And yeah. Oh, and I forgot, they have a percentage right here to show exactly what your percentage of your game that you're using, or the game that is downloaded versus the DLC and update. And of course you still have this over here in your manager as well. Current game ETA, all games and acquired ETA is around 30 or so minutes. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and take a look at the blocking. And no, I'm not going to do this politically, because my last video I did was against the whole political party lines. But of course the vote is over, but the fight for net neutrality isn't. Make sure the internet is free. Now for what it looks like is I guess they're talking about blocking updates from Nintendo. And you can go ahead and do that right here, and I will include this in the description below. You can go ahead and take a look at this. But more than likely, if you're a new Wii U USB user, you're already going to see this. If you're not, I will again make sure that this is in the video below. Okay. I think that covers everything except for starting up the game itself and how to apply the updates via Cemu, which is quite new and I've never done with Mapleseed, so we will go into that. But it's very simple. It's very easy, very simple. All you need to do is just navigate through your extract games and then apply the updates to your actual game itself. Now, for me, that's not going to be an issue. I will simply be able to just take over my saves and run them to the next game itself. But as you see, Wii U USB Helper is pretty fast. Well, not pretty fast, but it's pretty efficient as long as you know where the title keys are. And again, you can always Google those title keys. But once you do have your Wii U USB Helper set up, all you would have to do is just go into your search and just type in the name of the title. You no longer have to use the actual key numbers itself, which if you're familiar with Mapleseed, you would know your key numbers, so it really wouldn't be an issue. But if you don't know your key numbers, Wii U USB Helper is a great tool to use. I just don't use it that much. But for the sake of this video, and I said that I would, and Cemu 111.2 seems like a good opportunity to do it, why the fuck not? So, aside from that, I guess there really isn't anything to look at other than we're waiting on our downloads, and I'm just not going to speed it up because reasons. A lot of people might see speeding up the video as, well, you actually didn't do this. This is sleight of hand and trickery, or whatever. But don't worry about that. That's not really an issue at all. Yeah. Again, that is about it. Trying to think, do I want to play some soothing music while this happens? Fuck it. Why not? Always, 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 always keep music on hand. Huh. Which one was this? Ah, that was the strings. Oh, yes, nice. I forgot about that. I'm going to go ahead and let this download, and I'll be back as soon as the download is done. I have a little bit of errands to run, so don't worry about it. I will be with you. It'll be all right. All right. Now, as I go ahead and turn this back up, just came back and looks like I made it on time. So we are done with the downloads. Everything is done. So the only thing left is to install our own updates and keep it moving. And if anybody's taking, oops, sorry, let me go ahead and take this off. Oh, first I have to click that. No wonder. Derp. All right, let's go ahead and take this off. Let's go ahead and take this off. Let's go ahead and go into our Cemu and weird. All right then. And where did the Okay, there are those. So for the game extract, nothing in this folder. Did that derp? Did that just derp? I'm pretty sure I put these down. I'm really fucking sure I put those down. Okay, so we've downloaded the download, and the extract folder, which I did set up, didn't extract. Gotta love when that happens. Okay, let's go back in. Yes, I know. Just can't make a video without a fucking mistake, I swear to God. Let's see. Yeah, select folder. That's where the fuck I wanted to extract it at. Just making sure that this is the fucking folder. Okay, let's see. I've got it. It's there. I just unpack the load line. The welcomes, fees, select what you want to unpack. I knew there was something weird about why it was done so fast. All right. And let's go ahead and unpack these. So I'm pretty sure I checked unpacked, but it didn't unpack for whatever reason. So for anybody who's wondering why I'm doing this, even though it appears that I do have the game itself as a download, you can't really use that download. It's too encrypted. So you have to unpack it. Kind of like how the encryptions on the disk would be unpacked when you use your Wii U. So both things are used for the unpacking process. Let's see, this is the DLC, so this definitely should be faster considering the DLC is only 2 gigs. And yeah, once you unpack, which I'll have to go through the video again, but once you do unpack, it's supposed to look like this. This is the screen you're going to see. Sorry about that. That was my phone. There we go. Well, at least the unpacking process seems to be faster, so I'll stay on for this. It's too bad the unpacking process locks up the rest of Cemu, or not Cemu, Wii U USB Helper, but there could be worse things. It could not work. That's the worst thing. So. Turn this off. Don't know why that's even on. Must have left it on. I think I might go through this and go label which is which, and then put it in the description of what time you can go ahead and skip for this, because I know this is nerve-wracking for people who've already have their Cemu set up, but for those who don't, well, this is basically what you would have to do. 56%. Again, it's better than what I thought it was going to be. Oh, for fuck's sake. I swear, the only thing I hate more than downloading a whole bunch of freaking DLCs and updates is the freaking waiting for it. Luckily, it's faster on PC than it is on console, except for the Wii U. The Wii U is pretty fucking expedient, now that I think about it. I think I have all my updates to the Wii U and all my DLCs. So usually when I do something like this, I will not go past a DLC or an update. But I have received all my updates, of course, on the Wii U. Therefore, I am receiving all of my updates on the Cemu platform as well. That, and of course, there are just so many fucking fun tools to play with on PC than it is on the Wii U or any console variant of it. And actually, now that I think about it, it's been a full year since I've actually built and assembled my PC. And actually, this year, the only thing I changed out was my RAM. I went from 8 dual channel to 16 dual channel. So, DDR4 RAM. So yeah, I'd say it's actually pretty fucking nice. I'll probably do a video on my thoughts and what it feels like to be both a console and a PC gamer. Even though I am on console a little bit more, of course, because of friends, but that's going to quickly change with falling out that's happening right now. And more than likely, after I receive Monster Hunter, I'll probably never want to go back on console anyway. And when it does come out on PC, I'll probably buy it for that. One of the last great games. Another thing that happened during the Game Show Awards as well is Breath of the Wild received Game of the Year, which is not, that wasn't surprising. What was surprising were the other games that could have received Game of the Year for some reason. I think PUBG was one of them, which is weird because it's not a finished game. So calling a game or calling an unfinished game a Game of the Year is pretty much tells you the quality of what we are coming to expect or what we accept in the gaming community right now. And we should never expect anything less from corporations. After all, EA just opened the Pandora's box on the whole loot box debacle, which was their plan from the start. They've already have done these sort of corporate things with FIFA, and they just expected people from Star Wars to be just the same. They're the type of people that put everybody into a box of numbers. You're not a person or an individual, you're a box of number, and you will pay for these microtransactions. And the funny part about that is they're not completely wrong. A lot of the people who are in gaming right now don't know what games are or actually want to even experience progression of how games are supposed to be. In other words, these people are willing to pay to get ahead and not actually fucking do anything tedious or strenuous to achieve certain levels or whatnot, which is weird as hell to me. It's like you're killing your own enjoyment of said game because you think it takes too long. Now, I've played Skyrim multiple times, and I've played it more on console than I ever played it on PC. I played it more on the PS3 than one person would ever want to admit. And of course, when the DLCs came out, I kept playing it as well. And I tell you, Hearthfire, as much as a lot of people hated Hearthfire, I saw Hearthfire as a fucking opportunity to do the things that you would want to do in actual RPGs. Now, not saying that Skyrim isn't an RPG. It is an RPG for all intents and purposes. It's just leaning more on the action bit. It's the same as Fallout 4, and a lot of people can bitch and moan about how bad Fallout 4 was for them and their experience, and God, this isn't a true Fallout. The truth of the matter is it is a true Fallout, and no matter how much you're going to keep saying that, that's not going to change the fact that it is a true Fallout. A lot of people will like to go back and say Fallout 1, 2, and Tactics. Well, those were true Fallouts, and 3 is not. But New Vegas is, because magically it wasn't made by Bethesda. Now, we can all shit on Bethesda as a whole for their mod attempts and how they've handled modding between consoles, where they literally just said, oh, I don't know what the fuck's going on, and how they gave back, or quote unquote, how they gave limited rights to the mod authors themselves, only reserving rights to say that they still own the mod and can do whatever they want, and your license doesn't work with us because you're in our house. But everybody else it works with, but not with us because it's in our house. Type deal. We can shit on Bethesda for that. We can shit on Bethesda for trying to sell mods on the PC platform. We can shit on Bethesda for just sitting there being lazy and letting other fucking companies within themselves actually produce better games, such as Doom, which is pretty fucking awesome. I've seen it played. I've never touched it, and I want to play it. And of course, Wolfenstein, which I have all 3. And of course, I have 2 of them on the PS4, which were pretty fucking sweet. And I have the 3rd one on PC, which I have different NVIDIA settings for it. And again, it is pretty fucking sweet. But for the love of God, who ZeniMax is at the helm, and Bethesda, I can't remember which one. It's not Softworks, because Softworks is the game, but the publisher, Bethesda, and ZeniMax are just, it just feels like they're just trying to fuck their consumer, because why put out games anymore when you can just allow the fucking modders to fix your shit? And then later on, you can start ripping away the modders to do other projects. Pay them next to nothing while they pocket from the fucking credit system, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. Okay, now that that's done, there we go. That's what it's supposed to look like. Alright, now that we're done with that, and this is one of the couple of the final steps, what we're going to do is we're going to go in. We're going to go into Cemu. Come on. Kick the fuck on. There we go. Alright, now that we're kicked into Cemu, what we want to do is we want to go and install DLC updates. Alright, so what we want to do is, since there is nothing in there for fresh starters, we're going to go to desktop, or wherever you stored your folders at. I always store them on desktop, and I'll move them later, but that'll be it. And for some reason, I can't see the rest of my fucking shit, which is weird. So let's move that over here, like so. There we go. Alright, here's your game. Here's your update. Here's your DLC. So the first thing we want to do is we want to install. Let's install the DLC first. No. Let's install the update first. Let's go to Meta. Let's go to this metal file. Let's go to open. And there you go. And it will install your update, and then afterwards we can go ahead and install the DLC. Now this might take some time, this might not take some time, it just depends on how fast your RAM, basically your hardware is. But yeah, just installing everything that's unpacked, or just installing it from the metadata itself. But yeah, it's weird how people just, oh, it's not an RPG, it's not this, it's not that, and it's more of, yeah, they're actually RPGs. You might not like them, that's fine. You don't have to like them, but they are RPGs. And as you see, the installing is still going, but it's not that bad, so don't worry about it. Everything should be close to in working order. Again, these are the last parts, and after this I'll go ahead and install the DLC. We'll go ahead and set up our graphics packs, show you what graphic packs you can use depending on your hardware. It doesn't really matter. For some graphics packs, again, I can run all the way up to 5K, and I will rarely see specific flames and glitching. Of course, my motherboard is considered, I guess, potato-like, or potato 2.0, so I'm not surprised. But running 4K or 1440p shouldn't see a problem. 1080p, for some reason, you're always going to have stutters, but I like 1080p regardless of that. So I'll definitely just keep it at a 1080p pack. Definitely put on the crash workaround and the frames plus. And this is still installing, which I thought was going to be faster than this, but again, fresh installs are always the best installs. Take a look. Yeah, I think that is about it. All I can do right now is just sit and wait. God, the waiting is always horrible. I mean, it is really horrible. Especially if you're in a now generation. Alright, and after you install your update, it should look like this. Update installed. Now let's go back into the file and install the DLC. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back, go to the DLC part, go to Meta, open. And let's install the DLC now. I swear to God, on Twitter, they're just trying to sell you more shit. I did not like this. Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, my scheduled video I had, which is the Monster Hunter for Christmas. So the Monster Hunter beta for Christmas is going to eventually happen. Well, it's going to happen on the 22nd running through the 26th. So it's going to run not only on Christmas, but through Christmas and before Christmas. And if you didn't play the beta, I think it was on the 9th, all the way through, well, you have a second chance of doing it now. And I don't know if they're going to probably try to squeeze out a third. But if you haven't touched Monster Hunter World, say if you don't have a PS4, I'm sorry. But it is a very good game. Yes, I can't wait for it to come to PC. But I don't want anything truly changed. I rather just let the modders mod it if they want to. But if I'm playing it on PC, I don't want to see a health bar on monsters. That's just ridiculous. And I would never want to see a health bar on any monster at all. And I think that's one of the things that the magazine PC Gamer said, that they want these types of changes, like a better depth of field and all of these other things. And I'm just looking at it like, that's great. You'll probably get that in the options. Fuck off. Okay? I think they understand that they probably would want to do that. But even if they didn't, you could possibly just mod it or wait for the patch itself. So it's not really that big of a deal. However, as a Monster Hunter fan, and I played that game on PSP a little too damn much, I can actually say that I don't want these changes. But then again, I don't represent the whole of PC gaming. I don't represent the whole of any type of gaming. I just represent me as an actual gamer. Me as an individual gamer. And I say I don't want these. And if there are other people who say the same, good on you. If there are people who say differently, that they want to mod the game, good on you for that as well. I just don't feel like the game needs to be modded at all, especially playing the PS4 version itself. Now, I know the PC version is going to be spectacular, and I can't wait for it. But that does not change the fact that this is a console game, first and foremost. So coming in it with high expectations. The only high expectations is I want the formula to be very much accessible for the PS4 controller, the PS4 systems itself. There are only a couple of gripes I've had with the beta itself, which is the difference between the weapon wheel itself, which they have multiple weapon wheels, which I'm not sure if they're going to change that in beta. They might not. Again, this is a beta, just like the preset characters that you got, or the palicos, the little cats that follow you around and help out in the battle, or the presets. Those won't be in the final cut. Again, you'll be able to make whatever character you want and whatever type of cat you want. And I'm happy that that's a thing. In fact, a lot of the things that are new in Monster Hunter I actually welcome. And I see that those changes are something that's going to make the game way better than what it used to be. And if you're old, yeah, you would understand the claw that you had to use for the PSP. Yeah, that was utter shit. I hated doing that. But I love the game so much that I did it anyway. And that is it for the DLC. So, this part of the video should be very easy. very fast. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into graphics packs. We're going to select the graphics packs we want for Breath of the Wild. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to select regular shadows. We're going to select 1080p. We're going to select frames plus. We're going to select the crash workaround. There are a couple new ones here that I'm not familiar with, but for the basics, that's what we're going to go with. So this is just the basics, and running the basics is important. After we're done with that, we can go ahead and take this, exit out of that, go to file. Now what we want to do is load our game, and since our game is in the extracted folder, we can go ahead, go to your Legend of Zelda, go to the code, go to uking rpx, open, and we're going to compile our shaders that we've received from the link down in the description. Oh yeah, I forgot about my freaking NVIDIA frames. Well, I'm gonna keep it up there. It's not tanking my performance or anything, so it should be fine. The first time you ever load in your shaders or shader cache, it should take a little longer, but afterwards it's going to take around 10, maybe 15 seconds at max. Unless you switch between games with Cemu. But if you're just sticking to Breath of the Wild, it's going to be faster. If you're not sticking with Breath of the Wild, I really wouldn't worry about it. It's inherently faster from the old 1.7 versions of Cemu. Trust me on this. 1.7 versions of Cemu used to take so long to load the shaders. Now, this is great. This is an awesome set of speeds that we're running with. And this is just the first time load up of shaders. I should possibly go over here, pick up my controller, considering I would need it once the shaders are done. Yeah, almost at 90%. Come on, shaders. I also love how it says 16 frames per second in the corner too. That's just awesome. So I wonder if I'm ever going to actually stream Breath of the Wild. I should possibly do that. Stream it on Twitch and then put it on YouTube later on. However, I like the YouTube streaming part, but whatever. Alright, now we have the very beginning, proving that I didn't use any of my other saves. We have the shaders up and running. We have the right area. And we're not using the modded shaders that I had beforehand. And we're about to open our eyes. Of course. Come on. Come on.
Open your eyes.
There we go. Come on. Let's open these fuckers.
Wake up, Link.
Come on, come on. Let's get the fuck up. Dripping wet. Move this down. Now let's get through this glitchy first part, and the rest of it should be a piece of cake. And if you're wondering about the fluctuation of my frames, trust me, that's always going to be a thing depending on your hardware. So let's go ahead and pick up this Sheikah slate, of course, like every other time we do it. This badass iPad.
That is a Sheikah slate.
Or Android, or Kiosk,
It will
or
help guide you after your long slumber.
was it Kindle Fire, whatever. You know, the funny part about the Sheikah itself is this is the only game where they have been technically superior. So the Sheikah have been technically superior, and they were excellent warriors. And when I say technically, of course I mean technologically. But they're still technically still superior to the Hylians. But the Hylians seen them as a threat and basically led to the rest of the fucking world going to shit, which makes a shit ton of sense. Let's get some clothes because we don't want to catch a fucking death of fucking cold, you know, like I am.
Hold the Sheikah slate up to the pedestal. That will show you the way.
Thank you, British lady, who's also an American, who's playing with a very extravagant British accent. Like, seriously, if the Sheikah were charged of protecting Hyrule, this probably would never have happened. The fall of Hyrule would never have happened.
You are the light.
But, you know, whatever.
That must shine upon Hyrule once again.
Yeah. Can we go now? That's
Now go.
okay, thanks. Come on, let's go. Let's go. Let's go see the mountain. Let's go see the fucking mountain, people. A lot of the skips you're going to see is not only just because of, I should probably have said this before. The skips you're probably going to see it. Wait a minute. Why am I dripping wet from my arms? Just realize that, like, wait a minute. I'm standing boots deep, dripping wet from my arms. How does that work? Anyway, yeah. A lot of the skips you're going to see with your hardware might be shaders locking together or compiling as you're going, because a lot of your transferable will go into your precompiled, and your precompiled will probably add more if something wasn't there. A lot of people like to say we have 100% shaders. I'm not doubting that. I'm not doubting that at all. What I'm saying is that your hardware probably would just need to go with it. Oh my god. I never realized that until now. Bruh. I'm fucking sweating balls here. Alright, let's go ahead and climb. It's like the scene in Skyrim. You never get tired of seeing this. Never. And I like the fact that the clouds are actually placed right, which means they must have fixed a lot of the glitches they had. There we go. Now I'm ready to fucking swing at your bitch ass with a twig. Oh yeah. Anyway, and that is it for right now. As you can see, everything is up, everything is running. You might have a little bit of hiccups, but shouldn't be that big of a deal considering you have the shader cache provided to you in the link down below. However, if you don't want to use a shader cache, you can go for what you know and build your own. It's always said to go ahead and build your own shader caches, but just for people who want to start playing now, and if you can stand the small bits of hiccups, this is what you have. A proper game that's going to run above 30 frames per second outside, depending on how much people out, and around 25-ish frames per second, depending on your hardware. Again, in towns and whatnot, which is pretty normal for both the Switch and the Wii U itself. But that's just locked in the code, and I know there are people who have better hardware out there that can run 60 frames per second, BSOD. But yeah, it's a lovely sight no matter what you're playing it on. Now I'll probably crank it up to 1440p, get more resolution out of it, and go for what I know from there. Aside from that, this is the end of the video. I hope you guys have fun, and I'm gonna die. Anyway, take it easy, guys. I hope this tutorial helps a lot of people. It's more in depth, of course, because I didn't speed any of the processes up. You guys have fun playing this game finally on the new Cemu itself. And for those who've been having trouble with MapleSeed, just follow the tutorial for the Wii U USB Helper. All right, take it easy, guys. Have a nice evening.